Hey everyone, today we're diving into something that could seriously upgrade your bridge game. It's called the Rule of 22, and trust me, it's a fantastic tool for making smarter, more confident opening bids. It's like having a secret weapon at the table.
So picture this. You've just been dealt your hand. You do a quick count, and you've got 11 high card points. What do you do? Do you open? Do you pass? It feels like it's right there on the edge, doesn't it? It can be a really tough call.
Well, if you've ever been stumped by a hand like that, you are definitely not alone. The reality is, just counting up your high card points doesn't always tell you the whole story. In fact, sometimes it can be pretty misleading, and that's the exact problem we're going to solve today. And this gets us right into what a lot of players call the opener's dilemma. It's that feeling you get when your hand technically has the points to open, but something just feels off. It doesn't feel like a strong hand. You know exactly the kind of hand I'm talking about, right? It's kind of flat, maybe a 4-3-3-3 distribution. It doesn't really have a standout suit, and you just know it's not going to take a lot of tricks right out of the gate. It has the points, sure, but it feels weak.
So here's the key thing to understand. There is a huge difference between theoretical strength, which is really all that high card points measure, and the hand's actual practical power to win tricks. And that gap, well, that's where a lot of us can get into trouble.
But what if I told you there's a much better way to size up your hand? Well, there is, and it's called the Rule of 22. Think of it as a more advanced tool that gives you a much clearer picture of what your hand is really worth.
So what is it? Put simply, the Rule of 22 is a guideline designed for those really important opening bids when you're in first or second seat. It's all about combining your points with other crucial factors to see if you have real playing strength.
The best way to think about it is like a quick three-point inspection of your hand. Instead of just looking at one number, your points, you're going to look at your hand from 3 different angles. It's a much more complete assessment.
Okay, so let's pop the hood and see how this thing actually works. We're going to break down the formula step by step, and you'll see it's actually incredibly simple and really powerful.
All right, here are the 3 key ingredients. First, you start with what you already know, your high card points. No change there. Second, you're going to add the length of your 2 longest suits. And third, you add a value called your quick trick count.
And what number are we looking for? Well, the magic number is 22. If the total of those 3 things, points, suit length, and quick tricks, adds up to 22 or more, then you've got yourself a solid, disciplined opening bid.
Now that last ingredient, the quick trick count, that might be a new concept for some of you. It's basically a way to measure the sure thing tricks in your hand. You know, the cards that are almost guaranteed to win a trick right away. It's all about immediate power, not just theoretical points.
And this chart here shows you exactly how to count them. As you can see, an ace-king in the same suit is worth 2 full quick tricks. An ace-queen is worth 1.5. A lonely ace is 1, and a king is worth half a trick. This is how we put a number on that immediate trick-taking power.
Okay, theory is one thing, but let's see how this plays out with a real hand. We're going to walk through an example together, and you'll see just how easy this is to do at the table.
All right, here's our hand. We've got 5 spades with the ace-queen. We have a singleton 8 of hearts, 2 little diamonds, and 5 clubs with the ace-jack. So, what do we do with this?
Okay, first things first, let's do the easy part. The high card points. The ace and queen of spades, that's 6 points. And the ace and jack of clubs is another 5. So that gives us a total of 11. Right back to that classic, tricky borderline hand.
All right, now for ingredient number 2. We need the length of our 2 longest suits. Well, we have 5 spades and we have 5 clubs. So 5 plus 5, that gives us 10. Simple enough.
And finally, let's count up our quick tricks. In spades, that ace-queen combo is worth 1.5 quick tricks. And over in clubs, that ace is worth another, 1. Add them up, and our quick trick count is 2.5.
So now, let's just put it all together. We've got our 11 high card points, plus 10 for our suit length, plus 2.5 for our quick tricks. That gives us a grand total of 23.5.
And because 23.5 is well above our magic number of 22, this is an easy, clear-cut opening bid. See how that works? A hand that felt so borderline when we just looked at points is actually revealed to be pretty darn strong.
Okay, so here we are, back with our problem child. Remember this? 10 points, a 5-4 shape in the majors. Let's break it down
Apply the rules step by step and see what the final verdict is. Step 1. High card points. Pretty straightforward. We've got an ace for 4, a king for 3, a queen for 2, and that jack gives us 1. Add them up, and that's a nice round 10 to start with.
Okay, next up we look at the length of our 2 longest suits. For this hand, that's our 5 hearts and our 4 spades. So we just add 5 plus 4, and that gives us 9 for the length part of our equation.
And now for the third piece of the puzzle, quick tricks. Let's count them up. That ace-queen of diamonds, that's worth 1.5. And the king of hearts, all by itself, adds another half point, 0.5. So our quick trick total is a solid 2.0.
All right, moment of truth. Let's put it all together. We have 10 high card points, plus 9 for length, plus 2 for quick tricks, and that gives us a grand total of 21. Oh man, it's so close. But the rule is the rule. It falls just 1 point short of our target of 22. So, according to the rule of 22, this is a disciplined pass.
Okay, now for the fun part. Let's contrast that with this other hand. At first glance, it looks pretty similar, right? It also has exactly 10 high card points. But take a closer look at the shape and where those honor cards are. It's a different beast entirely.
So let's do the math again. First, high card points. We've got 2 kings, 2 queens. Add them up, and yep, that's exactly 10 points. So far, it's a dead heat with the last hand.
But this is where things get interesting. Look at the 2 longest suits. We've got 5 spades and 5 clubs. So our length number is 5 plus 5, which is 10. That's already 1 point better than the last hand.
Now, for the quick tricks, check this out. We have a king-queen in spades. That's one quick trick. And we have another king-queen in clubs. That's a second quick trick. So our total here is 2.0. Nice and solid.
So let's do the final calculation. 10 points, plus 10 for length, plus 2 for quick tricks. What does that give us? It gives us exactly 22. Bingo! So even though it has the exact same number of high card points as that first hand, this one has way more playing strength. And the rule confirms it. This is a clear-cut opening bit. Now, a quick but really important point. Context is everything. The rule of 22 is your go-to when you're in the first or second seat where being disciplined is super important. But if you're in the third seat and you've already heard 2 passes, you can definitely loosen up a bit. Some people even use a rule of 20 or are happy with a 21.5 in that position.
Picture this. You're in a competitive game, you're first to act, and the dealer slides you this hand.
Go ahead, take a good look. I mean, it's got some promising features, doesn't it? You've got that nice ace of clubs, the king of spades, a couple of queens, and a pretty solid 5-card diamond suit. It's got potential, for sure, but it's not exactly a slam dunk. So what's your gut tell you? Are you opening this thing, or are you passing?
Okay, so what makes this so tricky? Well, it all comes down to the point count. Most of us are taught you need 12, maybe 13 points for a standard opening. With only 11 high card points, you are smack in the middle of a gray area. You know, opening could get you into trouble, but passing, you might just be missing a game. So what's the right move?
And you know, this isn't just some textbook problem. This exact hand was played in a real tournament. In fact, 15 different players had to make this same decision. Let's see what the data tells us about what actually happened.
And whoa, the results really tell a story. Of those 15 players, 7 of them decided to pass, and their average score? A huge 78.57%. Now, the 8 players who opened, they all scored below average, some of them pretty disastrously. The numbers are just crystal clear here. Passing was the big winner.
You can see that guessing wrong was, well, it was really costly for those 8 players. But what if it wasn't about guessing? What if there was a simple calculation that could have nudged all 15 of them toward the right answer?
All right, and that's where this really cool tool comes into play.
Okay, so how do you actually use it? It's a pretty simple formula, really, with just a few key pieces. First, you do your normal high card point count. Second, you add in the length of your 2 longest suits. And third, you add a value for something called quick tricks. If your grand total hits 22 or more, the rule gives you the green light to open. Now, you might be asking, what on earth are quick tricks? Well, think of them as a way to measure how likely you are to win tricks right off the bat, without needing a ton of help from your partner. It's simple. An ace is worth 1 full quick trick, and a king that has at least 1 other little card with it in that suit is worth half a quick trick. That's it.
All right, theory's one thing, but let's get our hands dirty. We're going to apply this rule to that problem hand from the beginning and see what it spits out.
Okay, let's do the math.
First up, high card points. The ace, that's 4. The king is 3, and the 2 queens, that's another 4. Easy enough. That gives us 11 to start. All right, next step. We take the length of our 2 longest suits. So here, that's our 5-card diamond suit and our 3-card heart suit. 5 plus 3, that's another 8 for the pot.
And last but not least, the quick tricks. We get a full 1 for that ace of clubs and a half a point for the king of spades because it's got a buddy with it. So that's another 1.5. And that's all the pieces.
Okay, this is the moment of truth. Let's add it all up. 11 points, plus 8 for the suits, plus 1.5 for quick tricks, and our grand total is 20.5. Since that's under the magic number of 22, the rule is screaming at us. Pass this hand.
And look at that. This brings it all full circle. The formula told us to pass, and the real-world data completely backs it up. Those 7 players who passed got fantastic scores. The rule pointed directly to the winning play.
But, and this is a big but, here's where things get really interesting. A good rule is a powerful tool, no doubt, but a great player knows when to look beyond the rule. It's all about context.
So check out this new hand. Once again, you're holding 11 high card points, but the situation? Totally different. You're sitting in the second seat and the dealer to your right has already passed. Now what do you do?
Okay, let's do the math on this one. It's got 11 high card points, 8 from its 2 4-card suits, and 2 quick tricks from those aces. The total comes to 21. So just like our first hand, the rule of 22 says the pass, but, and here's the kicker, in this spot, passing is absolutely the wrong move. The correct action is to open.
So what gives? Why the complete reversal? Well, it all comes down to one word: context. Because that first player passed, your job is to try and stop the opponents from stealing the contract for cheap. The standards for opening here are just lower. By opening, you put pressure on them. You make it harder for them to find their best spot. In this strategic position, 11 points is often more than enough to get in there.
So, what's the big takeaway for your own game? Well, it's about making that leap from just being a rule follower to becoming a truly strategic player.
Let's boil it all down. The rule of 22 is a fantastic guideline. It really is, especially when you're first to act. But it's not a law, right? Context, especially your position at the table, can change everything. The very best players, they don't just memorize rules. They understand the why behind them, and they know exactly when it's time to bend them.
But hold on. This rule is more than just a math formula. To really become a master of it, you need to understand why it works. And the first big key is all about the shape of your hand.
The rule of 22 heavily, and I mean heavily, favors unbalanced hands. So why is that? Well, it's because long suits are your powerhouses. They're where you take extra tricks by roughing and just establishing the suit. A flat, balanced hand, something like a 4-3-3-3 distribution, has way less potential, even if it has the exact same number of points.
And you can see the impact right here. Our original 5-5 hand scored a solid 22. But if we take those same 10 points and spread them out into a flat 4-3-3-3 shape, our 2 longest suits only add up to 7. That drops the total all the way down to 19. Same points, but one hand's an open and the other's a clear pass.
I mean, the trend here is just undeniable. As a hand gets more and more balanced, its rule of 22 score drops like a rock. We go from a clear open with that nice unbalanced shape down to a definite pass with the balanced one. It's not just about the length of your suits, though. The quality of your high cards is just as important. And this is where that third piece of the puzzle, the quick trick count, really comes into play.
To put it simply, quick trick count is all about how many tricks you can probably snatch right at the beginning of the hand. Aces and kings, they're the superstars here. They represent immediate control and power, which is absolutely vital for setting up a contract.
Now look at the kind of impact this has. In our original hand, we had 2 quick tricks. But what if we swap out one of those queens for a 9? The high card points are the same, the shape is the same, but our quick trick count drops from 2 down to 1. The total falls to 21. And just like that, an opening bid becomes a pass.
And of course, it works the other way too. Let's imagine we upgrade that king of spades to an ace. All of a sudden, our high card points jump to 11, our quick trick count goes up to 2.5, and our total is now a really powerful 23.5. This isn't just an open anymore, this is a strong open.
So, the huge takeaway here is just how sensitive this rule is. The difference between having a king versus, say, a jack can be the one thing that decides it all.
It's the ultimate proof that in bridge, not all points are created equal, not by a long shot.
All right, let's pull all this together. How do you take this knowledge and actually apply it in your very next game?
Okay, here's your cheat sheet. First, remember, this rule is your go-to for those borderline 10 to 11-point hands when you're sitting in first or second seat. The formula couldn't be simpler. Points plus length plus quick tricks. And the magic number to remember is 22. Always prioritize hands with good shape, those long, unbalanced suits, and high-quality honors like aces and kings. And never forget, a single card can make all the difference.
So, the next time you pick up one of those tricky hands, you won't have to guess anymore. You'll have a powerful, reliable tool to help you make the right call. So, why go through all this? Why does it matter? Well, in this last part, let's talk about how using this one little rule can give you a serious winning edge and just make you a better, more consistent player.
You know, what the rule of 22 really does is it brings discipline to your bidding. It stops you from opening those weak, flat hands that always seem to get you into trouble. Instead, it rewards hands that have actual playing strength and good suit length. It helps you be aggressive when you should be, and it builds a system that you and your partner can really trust.
I absolutely love this quote because it perfectly captures the whole idea. The rule of 22 isn't meant to replace point counting. It's about adding more angles, giving you another tool to look at your hand so you can see it for what it truly is.
And that brings us to a final question to chew on. The rule of 22 is an amazing guide for discipline, but we all know that in bridge, the best players know when to follow the rules and when to break them. So, when do you think it might be smart to ignore the rule of 22?
You know, just like any tool in a toolbox, you don't use a screwdriver to hammer a nail. So let's talk about when you should actually be reaching for this rule. The absolute sweet spot for using the rule of 22 is when you're in first or second seat and you're staring at one of those classic 11 or 12-point hands. It's especially great when your hand has some shape, it's not totally flat. That's when this rule really shines, giving you a solid number to back up what your gut might be telling you. But, and this is just as important, you have to know when to leave the tool in the box. So let's look at the warning label and talk about when you should absolutely ignore the rule. I really want you to remember this. It's a guideline. It is not a law of bridge. It's designed for a very specific job. And if you try to use it everywhere, you're going to get into trouble. This table here does a great job of laying out those no-go zones. I mean, think about it. If you've got a balanced 15 to 17-point hand, you're just going to open one no trump according to your system, right? You don't need the rule of 22. Got a massive hand for a 2-club bid? Follow your system. Same thing for preempts or balancing in fourth seat or any hand with 13 or more points. That's just an automatic open. This rule is only for that gray area. Okay, and here's a big warning sign. The rule can get fooled by some really unbalanced hands, especially something like a 5-4-3-1 distribution. See, it correctly adds the length of your 5-card and 4-card suits, but it completely ignores the fact that you have a singleton, which can be a huge liability. It can make you overvalue the hand. So with these tricky shapes, you've got to add your own layer of judgment on top. All right, now that we've got the basics down, let's level up a little bit. Because once you know the calculation, the real art is understanding how things like vulnerability and your partnership agreements change the game. So check this out. The actual math for the rule of 22 doesn't change whether you're vulnerable or not, but your appetite for risk? Oh, that definitely should. When you're not vulnerable, you can afford to be a bit more aggressive. Maybe open a hand that's just squeaking by at 22. But when you're vulnerable, the penalties for getting it wrong are way higher. You'll probably want a little something extra, maybe a 23 or 24 count before you decide to jump in. So, if you are a weak NT player, you need to adjust your thinking a bit. You should probably raise your standards for opening a suit. I mean, since your balanced 12 to 14-point hands are already taken care of by your no-trump bid, any suit opening you make should really promise some good shape. You gotta prioritize your system bit over a general guideline like this. And that brings us to what is, without a doubt, the most important point of all. It doesn't matter what any rule or book says. Your agreement with your partner is king, always. That shared understanding is what matters most, and it will always override a general rule of thumb. So, what's the big takeaway here? The rule of 22 is an amazing tool, but think of it like a precision instrument for fine-tuning your judgment on one specific kind of hand. It is not a sledgehammer you use to make every single opening decision. Use it wisely and only when it's the right tool for the job. You know, at the end of the day, the rule gives you a number. It gives you some hard data, the science of the hand. But we all know that great bridge is an art form. So the real question is, can you take that number and then add your own judgment, your own feel for the table, and your trust in your partner to make the winning call? That's the real challenge.
Subscribe our channel for more videos.